I just saw something I don't believe. There's going to be a teachers' strike in Chicago. If they don't get the deal done by September 10th, unionized teachers are going on strike in Chicago. How can that be? Chicago's run by Democrats. The Godfather, Rahm Emanuel. Democrats love unions. They love teachers. They think teachers ought to have unending health care and pensions, not really have to work. They don't think teachers ought to have to qualify themselves. There shouldn't be any testing to make sure that teachers are good at what they do. Why are teachers going on strike in Chicago and they did not strike in Wisconsin? There's no teacher strike in Wisconsin where there's a Republican governor, Scott Walker. Remember, he was going to destroy the state. He was going to destroy their pensions. He was going to fire them all. None of that ever happened. Why would teachers, unionized teachers, strike in a town run by their buddies, the Democrats? I thought the Democrats gave the unions everything they wanted. You want a pension of $150,000 a year plus health care after you retire at age 50? You got it. Why isn't the Godfather coming forth with this? Illinois raised their taxes by 66%. Income taxes, why can't they afford this? Seriously, folks, I'm sitting here, I'd be stunned. How can teachers, how can unions ever go on strike against a Democrat mayor or governor or president? Obama, in his speech last night, said two things which are not true. Well, one thing was said about him which isn't true, and he said something himself that isn't true. His wife, Michelle Mybelle Obama, during her speech, I think even Clinton during his speech, I think Biden during his speech, said that Obama was constantly by his mother's bedside when she was ill, passing away. But he wasn't. He was on his book tour. I have here nothing less than the Washington Post, August 4th, 2008. And it's an actual random act journalism. The Washington Post went out and did a more recent fact check, debunking some of Obama's claims about his mother's death. This is an article they posted back in 2008. And this is when they were fawning over him, don't forget. And they let some facts slip out in this piece. It turns out here that the facts in this piece are even more damning than the later fact check on this. Headline, though Obama had to leave to find himself, it is Hawaii that made his rise possible. Now, this is the fawning period. This is August of 2008. But now Obama was drawn back to Hawaii to say goodbye to his mother. Too late, as it turned out. She died on November 7th, 1995, before he could get there. Ann Dunham had returned to Honolulu early that year, a few months before Dreams from My Father was published. She was weakened from a cancer that had been misdiagnosed in Indonesia as indigestion. American doctors first thought it was ovarian cancer, but an examination at the Memorial Sloan Kettering Center in New York determined it was uterine cancer that had spread to her ovaries. Stan had died a few years earlier, and Madeline still lived in the apartment on Baratania. Anne took an apartment on the same floor and underwent chemotherapy treatments while keeping up with her work as best she could. Alice Dewey, chair of the University of Hawaii, said she took it in stride. She never complained, never said, "Why me?" And the article notes Stanley Ann Dunham Sotoro developed cancer in 1994 while in Indonesia. Anyway, you heard throughout the convention Obama was right there at his mother's bedside when she was sick and when she passed away. Devoted son. He wasn't even in the state. He was on the book tour for Dreams from My Father. He didn't get home in time. She passed away before he got there. Mr. Limbaugh, why are you bringing up this ancient family history and trying to destroy the good vibes and the feeling of the family? Well, obviously, that's the voice of Mr. Newcastrati. No, I'm not trying to do anything here other than square the facts. There's a character reference we had on the president all this week in the convention. So devoted, he was there at his mother's bedside when she passed away. He wasn't. I'm not saying anything else. I'm just saying that they said he was there, and he was. He was on his book tour, and when it was told that, hey, Barry, time's approaching, you better, he didn't get home in time. Washington Post. August 24, 2008. The second story, why, lo and behold, it's also from the Washington Post, and the headline says it all. Obama's mother had health insurance, according to biography. It's an article from the Washington Post 2011, July 14th. After Obama had been using his mother's death to push for Obamacare for more than 2 years. And the upshot of the story is that Obama's mother did have health insurance when she died. And nobody's disputing the claims in the biography. Now, this biography of Obama's mother also debunks Obama's claim that he was by his mother's side through her ordeal. He was not. This is the second source for this. He hadn't visited his mother for months before her death. He was too busy on his book tour. He was running for office. You know what else he was doing when his mother died? He was organizing the Million Man March with Louis Farrakhan. Now, I'm just saying we had character references, folks, all week long from three people. Muchel, in a great swimsuit dress that she wore, got to hand it to her, great props there. Joe Bite Me, Bill Clinton. And one of the references was devoted son. Mother passed away, Barack by her side. He wasn't. He wasn't there for months prior to her death. He was on his book tour and organizing the Million Man March for Calypso Louis. Didn't get home in time. Maybe the only words coming from Washington this week that have not been pre-tested to perform well in polling or to score well with voters are going to be found online. The words are simple. And the short paragraphs are not in some polished mailing that you get at home. It's a simple document called the Conservative Declaration. Only words coming out of Washington that have not been focus grouped or tested or polled or what have you. And it's actually refreshing to read. It stands up for the conservative principles our nation was founded on. The words stand up against radical liberals. And most importantly, they reinforce the principles that have guided our nation to greatness. Now, if you're online today, take a moment and read it. Conservative Declaration. It's from the Heritage Foundation. There's no cost. There's no tricks. And there's no hidden gimmick here. You just sign up or log on, actually, and read it. And if you're so inclined, after reading it, sign your name to it online. Find yourself in the thousands and thousands of individuals who have also signed it this week and last week after they've read it themselves. You see it at signwithheritage.com. S-I-G-N, signwithheritage.com. Conservative Declaration, not complicated, it's not long, it's not a polished mailing from a candidate. It's just a simple document that has three goals. Stand up for the conservative principles we were founded upon, stand up against radical liberals, and stand alongside thousands of conservatives. Heritage Foundation, simply, they believe in the country, they believe in conservatism, they believe in the Constitution, they believe in you, and they want to spread what they do to as many people as they can. And so they've established the website, signwithheritage.com.